250,000. Let that sink in for a second. That is nearly 250,000 homes sitting completely in the dark, without power, right at this very moment. It's massive. And it's the immediate, chaotic aftermath of violent wind and severe rain systems that are just tearing through communities as we speak. This isn't some distant forecast we're talking about. This paints a very clear picture of the real-time urgency we're facing today. We are actively dealing with highly destructive weather events right now. So, hey everyone, and welcome to today's Weather Explainer. We've got some truly fascinating and honestly pretty intense meteorological data to dive into. We're going to be tackling a crucial dual focus today. First, we absolutely have to unpack the immediate severe weather threats pounding the U.S., like the tornadoes and those damaging winds I just mentioned. Then we're going to zoom out and look at the broader historical weather patterns that are setting us up for what looks like an unusually early and remarkably strong hurricane season. We've got a lot of incredible science to cover, so let's just get right into it. All right, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the immediate tornado and wind risk. Then we'll check in on the damage and power outages. After that, we'll break down a bizarre polar vortex anomaly, explore exactly why hurricanes are showing up so early, and finally wrap up with some essential safety and alert info. Okay, part 1, the immediate risk of tornadoes and high winds. The sheer intensity of the threat right now is, frankly, really concerning. If you are tuning in from Dallas, Memphis, Fort Worth, Arlington, Plano, or Shreveport, listen up, because you are in a significant severe risk zone today. We are talking about wind gusts rocketing up to anywhere from 60 to 80 miles per hour. That is enough to do serious structural damage. But it's not just the wind. We are looking at a massive hail threat, specifically in the Texas and Arklatex areas, with hailstones potentially reaching 2 to 3 inches in diameter. That's literally baseball-sized ice falling from the sky. On top of that, these clusters of storms moving through northern Mississippi and western Tennessee are bringing a very real risk for what meteorologists call a QLCS tornado. Basically, that's a sudden, quick spin up right within a line of storms. Now, here's the tricky part. This danger doesn't just vanish when the sun goes down, it shifts. Tomorrow, the whole threat zone moves eastward. The mid-Atlantic region, stretching all the way down through Virginia and North Carolina, needs to be on high alert for semi-discrete cell tornadoes. Meanwhile, the storm engine is going to fire right back up across Texas and Louisiana. We'll also see the wind threat expand outward, bringing 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts pushing up into Ohio, western Pennsylvania, and western New York. It's a huge footprint. Moving on to part 2. Damage and widespread power outages. As you might imagine, the damage from these storm systems is incredibly widespread. We aren't just talking about one single localized event. The numbers are wild. Michigan and Indiana are currently tied for the most outages, with over 51,000 homes completely in the dark in each state. Tennessee is following closely with about 28,000, and places like Missouri, Ohio, and Kentucky are all seeing tens of thousands of outages as well. Now, keep in mind, this isn't blacking out entire states. It's highly specific. It's happening in specific counties and parishes where these violent wind channels and severe storms have touched down and just ripped straight through utility lines. All right, part 3, anomalies from the polar vortex. I gotta say, our current weather pattern is completely bizarre right now. Usually, by this time of year, the south central U.S. is comfortably sitting in the 90s, right? People are breaking out the shorts. But thanks to a lingering polar vortex anomaly, and by the way, the major European models completely agree on this, a late cold blast is pushing through. Those regions are going to see daytime temperatures plummeting into the 60s. That is a massive 30-degree drop below average for the beginning of May. It's a staggering cooling effect, and it's going to linger over the weekend and even pulse again next week. It's just wild for this time of year. Which brings us to part 4. Why exactly are hurricanes arriving so early? The mechanics behind this early season are fascinating. It's kind of like a giant puzzle coming together piece by piece. First, we are seeing strong convection forming over Central America. Essentially, that's massive upward motions of heat and moisture. Second, weather troughs are coming through and physically pulling these storm systems eastward into the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean, and the Atlantic. And finally, we have these upper-level highs acting almost like a lid lifting off a boiling pot. They create this highly favorable environment of lift that allows these systems to rapidly organize into tropical storms and potentially hurricanes way earlier than the traditional June start date. Now, you might be wondering, wait a minute, aren't we entering an El Nino? Doesn't that usually suppress Atlantic hurricanes? And normally, you'd be absolutely right. But here is the critical detail from the data. While a potentially historic El Nino is building, it's just not strong enough yet. In this early phase of the season, El Nino lacks the powerful atmospheric wind shear required to just rip these forming storms apart.
That creates a really dangerous window of opportunity for early hurricanes to spin up completely unhindered. Plus, there is currently an absolute lack of Saharan dust out there, which is what usually chokes out these early storms. So, who needs to be watching this the closest? Let's break it down. On the Pacific side, Hawaii and the coast of Mexico need to be on high alert immediately. We could see formations starting right after the first week of May. Then once that convection gets pulled eastward, the threat pivots to the Bahamas, the Caribbean, Florida, and the wider Gulf Coast of the lower 48. These troughs are going to draw a ton of moisture with them. Now, sure, that will provide some much-needed relief to drought-stricken areas in the South and Florida, but they bring a major severe weather and flooding risk right along with it.
And finally, Part 5, Alertness and Safety Preparedness. Please take note of these crucial safety steps because they really matter. If you are in the immediate path of today's severe storms in the South, or in those early hurricane vulnerability zones like Hawaii and Mexico we just talked about, you must stay on high alert. You've got to keep a close eye on your local severe weather alerts. And don't get caught off guard by the secondary effects of these systems. You need to prepare for sudden heavy rainfall, rapid flash flooding, and, as we saw at the very start of this explainer, a high probability of sudden, widespread power outages. Get your emergency kits ready and make sure your devices are charged. From highly localized tornadoes and late Arctic blasts to an aggressively early hurricane season, the atmosphere is incredibly dynamic right now. It's doing a lot. So consider this. With all these historic, compounding weather anomalies rapidly approaching and colliding, is your area truly prepared? It's absolutely something we all need to be thinking about. Stay safe out there, keep watching the skies, and thanks for joining us for this explainer.